breaking this down in terms of the order flow. So the order flow is the weapon of choice that I like to use, right? So this was now 9:40 Eastern. So what we can see here, when we came into this particular market, right, what we saw a ton of aggressive buyers over here. Then we had this big red candle, huge red candle to the downside. So let's kind of break down what was going on. So order flow has two kind of numbers you want to focus on, right? So if you think this is a lot of numbers, it looks complicated, it is not as complicated as it seems once you get practice. So what's going on here is we have two numbers, and I'm going to break down some of these numbers. So what we had over here is we had 0 for 44, that's important. We had 289 for 448, and we had 450 for 674. So my job, my main interest is to only look at areas that have that are highlighted, basically. So when we see a lot of blue, in this case we see a lot of red, we see a lot of red over here. So what I want to focus on primarily when I look at these areas is I am interested in something called the delta. So the delta in this case is a very positive. So we see 448 for 289. So we see a lot of positive delta. So we see a lot of aggressive buyers in this region, right? So if I just kind of put this next to the candlestick chart, we see a lot of aggressive buyers over here. So this is what I'm talking about. So here we see a lot of aggressive buyers here, and these aggressive buyers are here. So what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot of aggressive buyers failing to break above this level. So this is showing us it is an area of supply. This is a supply area. The reason it's a supply is because we can see aggressive buyers failing. Now this is the first lesson of order flow. A supply area forms when there are passive sellers present. So I'm just going to write here passive sellers, right? So when you have passive sellers present, this means that essentially we're at a supply zone, right? It's an area where sellers are in control of the price. So here we have a supply zone, right? And we can back this up via the order flow because we can see a lot of heavy aggressive buying over here, which means that the market moved down. We were unable to break above this level despite the aggressive buyers being present. Okay. So now when we go to the 1 minute, we want to pay attention to this, right? So when we come into this level, right, there's a couple of things that can happen. We can either hold this level and we can look for shorts. That was one thing I was looking for. Or if we break above this level, we want to come back into this level and look for longs, right? So how do we know which scenario is going to play out, right? And how can you be on the right side of that? So this is where we continue on with the presentation.